Frederick Roeper invented a machine that would change the world as he or anybody else could not see foreseeable. Now, this man invented the very catchily named one loaf at a time bread slicing machine. Now, hopefully, you, as I will, doff your cap to this great invention. But believe it or not, the people of Iowa did not see it this way. They raged at this machine, and an uproar started. Angry mobs of Iowans lined the streets, wanting to end this madness and destroy the devil-spawned machine for good. And as predicted with most huge riots, a terrible fire broke loose, as big as the Great Fire of London, say some eyewitness accounts. And this great fire destroyed the one and only prototype of this devil-spawned machine forever. Also, the false Wikipedia report said. So, after a few more Googles and a little bit of digging, it turned out it was actually an accidental fire started in Otto's workshop that is still today a mystery. So there, on that day, began the famous saying, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And here begins my search for the greatest thing since sliced bread through the eyes of an Ashfield College boarder. I am now indebted to those young men in Allenson House who selflessly contributed the compilation of this list. Now, if I'm correct, 2013, which is this year, is exactly 87 years on from 1928, which is the year that the first bread slicing machine was sold into the world. Now, 87 years gives us humans a lot of time, and all sorts of things have been made in that time. And yes, I know what you're thinking, computers. However, in this quest, there is one rule. I'm not going to include computers. So, on to what Mallinson Boarders thought was going to be number 5. Well, as a 5-year-long Ashfield College boarder, a veteran, you may say, I was obligated to say Ashfield College is the best thing since sliced bread. And the others agreed, but it actually isn't. Ashfield College was invented, or in this case founded, in 1877, giving it a 35-year advance on sliced bread. So it turns out that sliced bread is actually the best thing since Ashfield College. And that is a completely different speech altogether. So for that reason, it cannot truly be in the top 5. At number 4, we find the common household toaster. Now, this invention doesn't take much of an introduction, but it has become the main way to use the great invention of sliced bread. That is, after the sandwich, of course. Now, I can assure you that toasting bread was done well before the invention of sliced bread, but it was never as easy as 1, 2. Before, you would need to take some sort of grill, and that would take time and energy to warm up. But now, all you do is take your toast, put it into a toaster, and pull the lever down, and it pops up when you're done. That is, unless you live in Mallinson boarding house, where the controls are constantly set to 6. That number setting 6 is the highest possible setting. And it doesn't cook toast, it doesn't even burn toast. It makes your toast through and through. So, in essence, all you're really eating is buttered charcoal. Patented in 1919 and first mass-produced to the public in 1926, Charles Strite invented the very first pop-up toaster. Well then, as you know, most boarders are sent to Ashfield College to study, and so this next one won't go too far on this. The CGP Revision Guide has been helping us pass exams since 1995, and for some reason it really does work. In 1995, a teacher called Mr. Parsons had an idea that he didn't know at the time, but would revolutionise the way that I and many thousands of people before me revised. Although he did get into a lot of trouble in 2010 for making a GCSE biology textbook that I quote was too sexually explicit for schools, Mr. Parsons has gone on to write many more books, and now is even expanding his market into Welsh literature. Now, could you imagine waking up before an exam and picking up your CGP textbook, taking your sliced bread and putting it into your toaster, ensuring that it's not set to number 6, that is. Then, when it pops up, having to butter your toast. No, it's just wrong. First invented in 1963 by a man called Heliot Ferrotto, I believe it's supposed to be pronounced, and with an official day on February the 5th every single year. It is Nutella. It's simply nuts and chocolate. What more can I say apart from thank you, Mr. Ferrer. Thank you on behalf of the world. Now, as an introduction to the greatest thing since sliced bread, through the eyes of the boarder, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into boarding, a small story, if you will. After tea, as any of you who have boarded will know, there is a prep session that ends at 8:45. And signalling the start and the end of these prep sessions is a bell. A bell that is hated at 6:30, but then loved at 8:45. And to most teachers, they think it signals the start and end of prep, but it doesn't. It actually signals the start of what has now become to be known as the Great Noodle Race. Even I myself have been known to occasionally take part in the Great Noodle Race, but only occasionally. So, as the seconds count down, us noodle racers sit there in our prep desk, books piled high either side of us, waiting for this bell to ring. And as soon as it does, we run as fast as we can, down the corridor, through the corridor, downstairs and into the kitchen. The winner of this race is the first noodle racer to touch the kettle. Their prize is the first boiled water out of the kettle, leaving the other noodle racers to bathe in their glory and wait for the kettle to then reboil. Now, the winner of this countdown is not the kettle, as you may have previously thought. That was invented way before the automatic bread slicing machine. But it is in fact the pot noodle. It has reformed the way that I get my 5 a day. That is, if those small little vegetables floating on the top count as your 5 a day. And for long nights away from home, it is the perfect comfort food. Quick to make, and as long as you pour it into a cup so that it looks like an inconspicuous cup of tea or coffee, you can then eat it in your room. But don't tell Mr. Code or Mr. Lees about this, as they may stop us from doing it. So that concludes the Mallinson House list of best things since sliced bread, and I hope that you agree with most of them. If not, that's because you're on a veterinised border, like myself. So next time you sit down to enjoy your ham and cheese sandwich, your sliced bread toast, or even if you're a true American, your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or just a Brit trying to get into the true spirit of things, remember that great invention that sparked this talk tonight: sliced bread.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Questions from the floor, please? Mrs. Hamilton?
No, I was just telling Patrick you'd done really well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In which case, Patrick, what's your favourite bread and why?
Oh, my favourite bread has to be Papa Baker's from Ireland, because it's just whenever I go home to Ireland, it's just the bread that you have, and for some reason it just tastes better.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Patrick, as someone with long experience of sliced bread and even longer experience of Mallinson, I'm slightly disturbed that you didn't actually begin your speech with a health warning, because you've come up with all kinds of dangerous things like Nutella and pot noodles. However, bearing in mind the general tenor of your speech, do you think there might be something that is better than sliced bread that doesn't actually have to do with food?
Well, I would have to say that it would be the computer, but as I said at the start of the speech, we ruled that out because there's just so many of them. But apart from computers, what else can I think of apart from musical instruments and food?
Any further questions? Yes, sir.
Where would you place super noodles on that list, especially in relation to pot noodles?
I would probably place them alongside pot noodles, but the reason why I chose pot noodles is because they're just so much easier to make. With super noodles, you have to get your bowl or your pan to boil the water. It just takes ever so slightly longer.
Patrick, you have a position on more Latin breads like panini and...
I'm not that big fan. I prefer the bun. Comes with a nicer filling.
Time for one more.